You ever taken any batteries out and sold the batteries?
No. Believe them checks were mine. This started to piss me off when I found out they weren't.
It is rare to see a police officer being held accountable for their corruption, let alone a police chief. Today, we bring you a shocking case where a corrupt police chief was exposed for breaking multiple laws and making a mockery of the entire police system. On March 10th, 2018, Buckeye Lake Police Chief James Hansey went over to a residence where a police call and accidentally fired his weapon. This led to an investigation into the chief's conduct, opening up several questions that needed answers.
Just tell me about what happened during the accidental shooting. Obviously, I've gotten stories, a couple different, people told me, but you're the guy that accidentally discharged a weapon, so I can't wait to hear from you, man.
Jeff Maiden and I were on our way back from Lancaster. We had ate at B-Dubs. We were coming down 79 and we were in the area of Buckeye Lake Estate, Beezer Village. And my telephone rang. It was from Darlene Witt-Hofer. I've known the family since, I was a firefighter with her brother Terry for aunt. She found her aunt in the middle of the road, and that two guys had broken into her aunt's house and held her at gunpoint. She was able to escape, but the gunman shot one guy. He was laying in the floor bleeding to death, and the gunman was still in the house.
However, Hansey had undergone a finger amputation just a day before the incident and was declared medically unfit for active duty.
Thinking of being on technically light duty,
Right.
had no gun with me, and with there someone possibly being in that house dying, you guys have done the same thing. You'd have went in. We had 3 people here, and we've been trained. I told Ritter, give me your handgun. Vermaiden went around the side of the trailer to see if there was a door on the back. Cover 3. Vermaiden was the first one in the door, went to the right, because it's a single wide. Went in, and I went to the left, and I held the whole back of the trailer. And the trailer is really dark, and the only lights that's on is their flashlights and a TV in the very back room. I'm standing here, low ready, left hand, and all of a sudden something flashed. I thought someone was coming up, and when I came up, I hit a corner and put went in the round, went in the floor.
Okay. Did you have your finger on the trigger or something when you went up?
I had, yeah.
By responding to the scene, he directly violated his department's policy as he had been officially placed on desk duty. Chief Hansey had no clue that this accidental discharge was only the tip of the iceberg, as the detectives had planned plenty more questions.
Was there any conversation about not telling them about the accidental discharge?
Yes, there was.
Okay. was that your call?
Yes.
Okay, and what was the rationale there?
Ritter likes to tell things, and for the integrity of the case, integrity of the accidental shooting, Ritter, you don't have to go tell everybody that we had an accidental shooting. Let's get this investigated first. Let's get it looked at. Let's save the integrity of the case right here before anybody, 1,700 people know.
Sure.
And that was the only reason. But no reason to hide anything. How can you hide an accidental discharge?
Makes it tough. Things go bang real loud.
Yeah, and you got a spent shell. We got the shell.
Okay.
Yeah, I sure did. I told him. Because he likes to tell.
Having no answers to the detective's tough questions, Chief Hansey started to blame other people, starting with the mayor, who clearly didn't have good relations with him.
I called the mayor 6 times and she never called me back. She called Ritter instead of calling my phone. She does that a lot. Just the other day, she's standing there, Ritter's phone goes off. Call from Peggy Wells. He's talking to her. I walk up and say, why aren't you calling me? I'm the chief.
Right.
From years, she's been on council for years, and yeah, she never liked the police department. She's actually picketed against the fire department. She don't like them. She had a big meeting with Randy Thorpe, and Billy was still there, and wanted to see about bringing them in and get rid of us. And Billy and them guys told him, you can't afford us.
Right.
But when she took over mayor, and she took me in on January 19th, I told her, I said, all I want to do is my job.
Yeah.
I want to work with you. I have no hard feelings about nothing.
Shortly after, the detectives pressed at another huge point. Chief Hansey had been working from home and getting paid for the work at the office. Watch the bizarre reason that he had for this.
You mentioned a computer that you had at home, that your excuse was that you had to go home because you had some information on the computer at home that you didn't at work.
My computer at home is set up the same way the computer at the house. I mean, at the office.
Okay.
And if I was at my house doing stuff and writing, you can go to my house right now and I can show you the stuff that I've done, changing policies and changing things. I've had permission from our mayor, Kate Carroll, to go there.
Okay. Have you had permission from this mayor to go there?
No, and I haven't.
Okay. All right.
I wish I'd have brought my phone in. The times that they're probably talking about is I burnt my foot right heel really bad, clear to the bone. And I had to have a special boot. And it hurt to walk in it.
Hansey insisted he was working from home, but he had no clue that the detectives were well prepared, as they quickly exposed his claim with a damning revelation.
And I would come in the mornings, I would get the mail like I was supposed to, I would check the phone recorders and do everything else, and then I would go to the house and do what I had to do. You know, but I always had my walkie right there, and they knew this.
Well, I think part of it too was they said they came over, a couple of times and you were just wearing shorts and a t-shirt watching cops while you were on duty.
No.
And that was and then when I checked the records, you had him logged down as hours that day. But my concern is if you're at home that day, and that's true, let's say that's true what he's saying, if you're just sitting around watching cops when you're supposed to be at work, that could be an issue.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, you're the chief of police. You wouldn't want one of your guys doing that. Why do you think that is, Jimmy?
I would go home a lot, but I would not. I would be in blue jeans or my BDU pants and a shirt that always said police, and I would be doing the stuff that I was allowed to do on the computer per the mayor.
The police chief faced allegations of misusing government funds while staying at home. The situation escalated as detectives shifted their focus to yet another serious accusation.
Junk cars. I wanted to ask you about that too. What are your procedures for junking cars?
Junking cars?
Yeah, let's say you get a car in an impound, nobody comes and gets it. What are your procedures to get rid of that vehicle?
Run the thing through the state of Ohio. They come back and tell us if there's a lien on it. And then you send that person, or if there's a lien on it, you send that person 10-day notice. Or if there's no lien on it, you send that person, the owner, 10-day notice. And then if they don't collect it, or we get it back, they've got 10 days to pay the towing or anything like that. If not, then I go get a title from the BMV. And then we gather how many other cars we got up, get 3 bids, and then people come out and look at the, like junkyards or private people or whatever. They look at all the cars all at once and give you 3 bids, and the highest bidder gets them.
Okay.
As if the situation couldn't get any worse, Chief Hansey was also accused of removing batteries from junk cars and then selling them for personal profit.
You ever taken any batteries out and sold the batteries?
No.
No. And the reason I'm asking in this setting, Jimmy, is this is a setting where under Gary Act, you can't be charged with what we're talking about. We can't talk about this criminally.
Right.
Okay, but if that comes out criminally, there's going to be some issues probably with stealing. Okay, so there's been those allegations and a little more than just allegations. Very, very specific things that I've checked out that are not making a lot of sense. Okay, one of them especially being a water pump that was taken off of a truck for Randy.
If anything was taken off them cars, the village already owned them, and they had permission from the mayor to take anything. I personally have never taken anything off the cars, out of the cars, anything. Now Randy and Mark Dimick has, yes, but they've always had permission, and they've never done anything until the vehicles were owned by the village.
Sure.
Well, one thing was clear at this point: the police department was deeply corrupt, with officers exploiting the system for personal gain.
The village owned it. Did you take any batteries then after they owned it? Did the mayor say, hey, you can take these? I'm trying to explain it for myself in my head why I've had 2 people tell me the same thing now. 2 different people. One you know, that I would say is completely on your side, one that says maybe not completely on your side, and they're both telling me the same thing. So I'm trying to figure that out, why in my head that would be the case. So is there a circumstance or an instance where you did take a battery or two after the mayor cleared it?
I've never taken a battery.
Never.
Never.
Okay.
Never.
All right. Well, I needed to ask you about that because, like I said, I've had a couple of them here. All right.
Unconvinced by the chief's claims, the detectives once again asked him about the accidental discharge encounter, asking how he would have reacted if one of his junior officers had made the same mistake.
I took a call, even though they're not cleared to come back for 2 more days. Would you per se, you have a problem with that?
If it was the same situation that I was put in,
Sure, call it exactly the same.
no, I would not.
Okay. And why is that?
Because there was imminent risk of death. He was there. He had plenty enough people to take care of what the situation was. And I believe he has what word do I want to use?
You want to use probably duty to do something, right?
Yeah.
I assume that's where you're going with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do. I would not have a problem with that at all. I mean, the accidental discharge was very unfortunate and a bad timing, but, you know, no, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all.
Once again, the accidental discharge seemed to be only a stepping stone for the detectives as they pursued another key issue in the department. The calculation of their pay had been a major problem.
Where you got all the hours listed for everybody that worked, all the calls were taken, all that stuff.
Yeah, we get the calls and everything out of the computer system,
Okay.
and Jeff would estimate the hours.
How's he estimating the hours? I'm confused on that part.
I worked 80 hours a week.
Uh-huh.
I mean, 80 hours a week.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. That's 160 a month, so he'd put 160. He would take what he was supposed to work, divide that by 2. That's what he would get, just down the line like that.
Okay. That's for the full-timers, right? To make sure those numbers are correct.
Those numbers were estimations. They were never correct, not meant to be correct.
You guys are paid by the hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get paid by the hour, an estimate by the hour? How does that work? Because we have a time clock. We got to turn stuff. I mean, we literally have a time clock.
The detective shifted focus to another major issue, the calculation of officers' pay, which had some significant discrepancies. It turns out the entire police department was being run on guesses.
We're ultimately responsible for making sure the numbers are accurate when they go to Mary, who I assume Mary does some other report as well, or did at the time.
I have no clue. We just turn in our timesheets to her.
But you make a report for city council, or for village council. I'm sorry, if I keep calling it city council, I'm just used to this. You make a report for village council, right?
The end of the month, they would get a report.
Yes.
On with the fire department and every street department and everything else.
Right. And that report is done by who?
We're making,
Okay, so Vermaiden does the report. He does the report up, and I would assume, since you're the guy in charge ultimately, and you're the one responsible for numbers ultimately, you look at that report.
no.
You don't look at the report that Vermaiden's doing?
No, he would come in or on a Friday when I'm off on Fridays,
Uh-huh.
and he knows Monday is the council meeting. He would do it up, and then he would take it over and give it to Valerie. There's plenty of times I would never see that report. I have no clue.
But you know who comes, but you know who's coming and going, Jimmy. That's the whole thing I want to get at. You know who's coming and going in the department, and there are people like Schilling. Is it Schilling? Schiller? I know he's
Jason Schilling.
Jason Schilling.
Yeah.
I talked to lots of people, and they said he only comes during taser training. That's it. And he's listed for 16 hours a month,
Correct.
every single month.
Correct. Because Frank Foster, our mayor,
Uh-huh.
said he did our radar, he did our taser, and he did what else did he do? Radar, taser.
Every officer in the department being paid more than the work they were doing. In fact, one of them was only present for taser training, but was being paid full time. Here is what the chief had to say about him.
I believe it is accurate because the mayor, Frank Foster, said, giving this, we will trade him this 16 hours a month if he continues to train us like
Right.
that. And that's the way we did it.
I understand what you're saying. I do. I get it. But, you know, a guy like that's valuable. You know, but you want that guy to actually work. And when you're presenting those numbers to the village council, the numbers don't match what is actually going on. You know, so if you're putting 16 hours down, it looks like that guy's been there for 16 hours that month. He put in at least 16 hours of time, right?
If you wanted to look at it that way, yes.
I don't know, I mean, I really don't know how else to look at it, Jimmy, when it comes to that, because, again, yeah, valuable guy, you wanna keep him around, you wanna keep him happy, but he's not putting the numbers in that you are saying he's putting in.
Once again, the chief tried to brush everything off onto the other officers involved and even the mayor, claiming that he was agreeing with everything. He had failed to grasp the gravity of the situation and the responsibility that he should have taken.
Every month that she's been there, she's got 16 hours a month. I call her, she says, no, that's not accurate. I call the guy she rides with, Haas,
Jeff Haas.
Jeff says, no, she does not work 16 hours a month. Yeah, you guys put 16 hours a month on that sheet.
Again,
You understand, that's a criminal charge. That could be a criminal charge to do all that
there's no
stuff.
monetary value.
There's no monetary value. You're making it public record. You're falsifying a public document because it's going over the village council. You see what I'm saying? So you're falsifying a document that goes over there, and I don't know why. I don't get it. I really don't understand it. You know, but I mean, this is a place to explain it, Jimmy, if you're going to. I mean, this is where it gets explained.
The detectives accused the chief of fraud, which immediately triggered his angry reaction. He was no longer calm and composed as the weight of the allegation seemed to finally hit him.
Let's go to these checks that were cashed for the insurance company. Now, I talked to the insurance company about those checks, and they had some pretty big issues with them.
Mm-hmm.
All right? That may be something that I'm going to have to turn over to somebody else to investigate criminally. If it gets to that point, I may have to do that.
What
I don't know
checks?
what the insurance checks that when you were transported to the hospital and you were supposed to pay, you were supposed to cash them, and you cashed 4 of them.
Oh Lord, you gotta be kidding me.
See, Jimmy, the problem with an internal investigation is once it starts rolling, it starts opening the door to all kinds of other stuff that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a duty now to at least address it and try to figure out what's going on. In this setting, again, you're under Gary, okay? I can't use anything you say criminally, period. Okay?
Well, I understand.
So, all right, I want you to understand that, you know, before you.
This is funny. These checks, I honestly, wholeheartedly, with my life, believe they were my Aflac checks. Because I talked to John Curtis, you can call him and ask him, I got him in my phone. He says, you've got a check coming, and you're going to have checks coming for your follow-up visits. I just got a check, and you can run out to my truck, I'll give you the keys. I got $3,100 out there. I just got an Aflac check for this.
Okay.
I honestly, wholeheartedly, 1,000,000% believe them checks were mine. This has started to piss me off. When I found out they weren't, I made arrangements and they were taking money out of my payroll every month.
They mentioned
I didn't fight the system because I honestly believed they were my checks.
The entire police department was a mess, and the detectives were just dropping bombs at the chief, who should have been aware of this prior to the investigation.
it's your department, your responsibility to make sure those numbers are accurate.
Them numbers were never, ever in the whole world ever meant to be accurate. That was just a summary of what we've done.
Okay.
The only thing accurate in that whole thing was the very front page. That was accuracy.
And it wasn't accurate because you guys missed Ritter's numbers on almost every month.
What do you mean?
Like Ritter's numbers that he had, your call volume is actually way bigger than you guys claim it is. You guys have more calls and did more things than you guys claim. Because you didn't factor Ritter's numbers in. All of Ritter's call records, all his calls, all his stats, even his hours worked, nobody calculated it.
The Ritter's not putting his stuff in the computer. That would be the problem there with
Okay.
call volume.
What do you mean put stuff in the computer?
He's not typing his stuff in his CRs and call records in.
Okay.
The detectives had some compelling evidence, which angered the chief, and he went on another tiring rant as he had no solid argument to counter the mounting evidence of his misconduct.
I don't put down on my timesheet.
So you working extra hours and not claiming?
Yes. My phone would ring constantly, and I'd have to go out. I never put all the hours down.
Right.
Because I know we're short of money, and I didn't want to work myself out of a job. You can ask any mayor that.
Yeah. What's the most people you guys have had out at one time?
2,
2?
yeah, 3,
At any time, any given day?
usually 2,
Okay.
noon to 10.
No idea.
So that should, I don't even know why that was put there. That was should have been noon to 10 instead of 4 to 10. And it'd have been 10 hours.
What time did you guys get back from that trip?
Oh hell, I don't remember.
Was it dark?
No.
Maybe he tried to come in later, I don't know. But he put down numbers too on that day that he wasn't at work.
Noon to 10.
No idea.
So that should, I don't even know why that was put there. That was should have been noon to 10 instead of 4 to 10. And it'd have been 10 hours.
What time did you guys get back from that trip?
Oh hell, I don't remember.
Was it dark?
No.
Maybe he tried to come in later, I don't know. But he put down numbers too on that day that he wasn't at work. The
Alright.
Ritter had to come in because the two of you were both gone. And the dispatch traffic had Ritter on there, not you guys.
Yeah.
And obviously,
here, 4 to 11.
and you're being honest with me, that, you guys were out there on the 25th.
Oh yeah.
So that's the problem, Jimmy. And I turn this stuff over to Mayor Wells and to Village Council. They're probably gonna have an issue.
Well, you know what? This was not done on purpose. I probably should do my time sheet every day that I get done, and I didn't. That right there, the 25th, was not done on purpose. And I can understand it looks terrible.
But Jimmy, you just told me earlier that you do it like that you make sure that you don't put that ending on there until you're actually done.
I just started doing that
Okay, I gotcha.
because of all this issue of them saying time sheet this, time sheet that, time sheet this.
Right.
And pay is very,
This is, Jimmy, I don't know if you've ever seen this before. This is a couple years of people thinking that you're doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. A couple years, since 2014.
As the detectives moved to the end of the investigation, Hansy's desperation was visible, as he also owned plenty of the stuff happening. In the end, he once again tried to become the victim in this situation.
I asked if we could get a window tint meter for $48. No, you don't have the money. Seriously?
Wow, 48 bucks?
$48. So that's the way we've always been in that village from day one I started. They don't give us nothing. We buy our own paper. We buy our own uniform. They give us a uniform allowance. But we buy our own boots and we buy our own guns and our belts and stuff that whatever the uniform allowance won't cover.
That reminds me of something though, Jimmy, I gotta ask you before you take off here. You threw away a bunch of property the other day.
Shortly after the interrogation ended and after the investigation was concluded, Chief Hansy was charged with 22 administrative counts. Chief Hansy was immediately dismissed from his position and then placed on diversion. As of now, there are no updates regarding the charges against him, and it does remain uncertain whether criminal proceedings will be pursued. Now that brings us to the end of this video. Today we looked into a case of a corrupt police chief who ran his department with zero accountability, allowing some serious violations of the law happen, but fortunately he was removed from his position and held responsible for his negligence and misconduct. Now if you agree, please support us by liking this video. Also, if you did enjoy this video, watch the moments where these entitled Karens messed with the wrong cops.
Please, sir, please. I'll take everything. Oh, please don't charge me, but I want to go to jail. Please, sir.
I don't want you to take everything.